Who actually needs a semi-automatic R134a recovery machine, and who would be better off putting that money toward a simple handheld pump? If you're wondering whether the Mastercool COMMANDER1100 is a smart spend for a typical garage or a weekend hobbyist, keep listening. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The decision isn't just about horsepower or screen size, it's about how often you'll be pulling refrigerant, how much you value accuracy, and whether you can justify the upfront cost against the risk of a botched recovery that could land you a fine. When I first started looking into refrigerant recovery gear, I kept tripping over two extremes. On one side were the cheap manual kits that cost less than a day's labor but left you guessing about how much gas you'd actually captured. On the other side were full-blown, computer-controlled units that promised 99% recovery but came with a price tag that could fund a decent set of tools. The COMMANDER1100 sits somewhere in the middle, and that middle ground is exactly where most shop owners and serious DIYers wrestle with a decision. Let's step back and talk about the category for a second. An R134a recovery machine is essentially a vacuum pump plus a containment system, designed to pull the refrigerant out of a vehicle's AC loop and store it safely for reuse or proper disposal. The process is regulated because you can't just vent the gas into the atmosphere. A good recovery unit will meet SAE J2788 certification, which guarantees a minimum recovery efficiency usually around 95% and will give you real-time feedback so you know when the job is truly done. That's the safety and compliance side of the equation. So, who should consider the COMMANDER1100? If you run a small to medium auto shop that services at least a few AC systems a day, the time you save with semi-automatic operation pays for itself quickly. The 10-inch touchscreen replaces a stack of paper logs and a separate gauge set. You set the target recovery amount, press start, and the unit handles the pump speed, valve timing, and alerts you when it reaches the desired charge. That level of automation reduces human error, especially when you're juggling a transmission repair and an AC bleed on the same shift. Mobile technicians who travel between client sites also benefit from the built-in diagnostics. If the system senses a blockage or a leak in the hose, it flashes a warning before you waste time trying to troubleshoot manually. On the flip side, if you're a casual car owner who only needs to recover refrigerant once a year for a DIY retrofit, the COMMANDER1100 may feel like overkill. The unit weighs enough to need a dolly or a dedicated workbench, and you'll still need to hook it up to a 120V outlet with enough amperage to run a 3 CFM pump continuously. For someone who only occasionally tops off a system, a basic manual pump plus a set of refrigerant scales will cost a fraction of the price and still get the job done, albeit with a bit more hands-on monitoring. Now let's dive into the practical strengths that make the COMMANDER1100 stand out in everyday use. First, the high-efficiency 3 CFM vacuum pump moves air and refrigerant faster than many entry-level units. In a real-world shop scenario, that translates to cutting a typical 2-hour recovery down to under an hour, freeing up bay space for the next car. Second, the unit exceeds the SAE J2788 standard, boasting a 98.5% recovery rate when you hit a 15-gram charge target. That extra percentage isn't just a bragging right, it means you're keeping more of the expensive refrigerant in your inventory and staying comfortably within legal limits. The 10-inch full-color touchscreen is more than a flashy interface. It provides real-time diagnostics like system pressure, pump speed, and alerts for low oil levels or hose blockages. I've seen technicians who used to write down readings on scrap paper suddenly rely on the screen to confirm that the recovery cycle has truly completed. That reduces paperwork and eliminates the guesswork that can lead to overfilling or under-recovering a system. Another benefit that's easy to overlook is the fact that the COMMANDER1100 is built in the US. The domestic manufacturing means you can get direct tech support from Mastercool, and replacement parts tend to ship faster than with overseas-made competitors. For a shop that can't afford prolonged downtime, that reliability factor can be a hidden cost saver. Every piece of equipment comes with trade-offs, and this one is no exception. The most obvious drawback is the size. The unit sits on a sturdy chassis that takes up about the footprint of a small refrigerator, and it isn't something you'll want to sling over a shoulder. If you have limited floor space, you'll need to allocate a dedicated spot or invest in a rolling cart. Also, because it's semi-automatic, there's still a learning curve. The touchscreen menu isn't confusing, but you do need to understand basic AC recovery concepts like setting the